you mentioned that sound creates,
Yeah.
and in the beginning there was the word, and the
Yeah.
word was God, and like the word created. And that word is logos. And
Yeah.
logos, in some of the more like esoteric understandings is the truthful speech of spiritual gnosis in a sense.
Hmm.
And to me, it kind of like also means like, yes, speaking truthfully of the deeper reality. But on top of that, like gnosis comes from, like ancient Hermetics or
Mm-hmm.
like like ancient Kemet or Egypt or the Hebrew language. And both of them were original creation languages. They were creation languages
Oh my
in the
goodness.
sense that like Hebrew, I'm pretty sure was the fire language. And even in the Divine Pymander of Hermes, like literally he's talking to Asclepius and he's like, and the Greeks will never know what I have spoken here, even if it's written down. Because when it's translated into their tongue, it loses the the melody of truth. Something along those lines. And when it comes to the spoken word in creation, it's also really interesting astrologically, in the sense that Aries rules the head and the third eye and the pineal gland, right? And
Okay.
then Taurus, the next sign in astrology, rules the neck and the shoulders, right? And it rules speech in a sense. And
Hmm.
Taurus is in fact like that earth, that fixed earth element. And yeah, it's just kind of interesting in the fact that like there's many layers to creation, and creation comes from like God's emanation into through Aries as the sun rises on the east, as the Son of Man rises in the mind's eye, in the pineal light, right? And God is poured through there. His birthing portal is in fact the tongue. It's
Oh
very
my.
interesting. Man has two different birthing portals, right? We have the sexual center, and we
Mhm.
also have Doth, or like the third eye center, and that's linked directly to the tongue. So as the macrocosm is birthed into the earth or into the microcosm, God, or the emanation of God, is birthed through the third eye and out the tongue through the logos. And that
Hmm.
spoken word in like, some of the deeper esoteric stuff that like the true Kabbalist of, that Franz Barden describes, has the capacity to speak things into existence straight out of the ether,
Oh
you
my
know?
goodness.
And like that's what the true Kabbalists can do, because their words resonate at the frequency of truth, and they're speaking that of the emanated light, meaning like they're perceiving and creating on the plane of like almost like emanation, and they're forming it or they're creating it with their words. And it's very interesting, like
Gosh.
how that goes. Um, Franz Barden has his book. I forget the exact name, Mystical Kabbalah, or like Kabbalists, and a lot of the book is about resonance, is about sounds
Oh
and words.
my goodness. Spell
And
that name for
Franz Barden,
Baro.
no, FranzBardon, Franz Barden, Kabbalist. So yeah, like that's like speaking literally is creation, especially when we hit on those like ancient languages, some of them like lost languages or angelic languages, perhaps per se. And we do so in the awareness, in the full awareness of the macrocosmic like birth through us, like through the Lamb. It's very interesting. In Revelations in the Bible, for instance,
Mm-hmm. Tell me, because
it says
that's not.
there's only two animals, or there's two things that can open the seven seals. And the seven
Mhm.
seals are the seven chakras, which are essentially sealed because the light of God, right, is not fully actualized in the being. There's seals on these chakras where that like, the light emanates through us. And the
Okay.
only two animals, it says, like, behold the Lion of Judah, you know? And the lion is the line of Leo is the heart. He rules the heart, right? And the sacrifice of the lamb, like I forget the exact wording, but it's basically the sacrifice of the lamb, like behold the Son of Man, like comes, and that the sacrifice of the lamb is literally the like the death and birth of the pineal light emanating into the body. And God's creation goes in and up. It goes in the heart and up and illuminates the mind. And it's the two working in one. And it's the macrocosm being birthed into the body of man, right? And the body of, and like the below also being birthed up to the above. It's just very interesting, all the correspondences with the esoteric knowledge of like the true word, in a sense. And the word also can be like translated to the seed. Super interesting. I could go deeper there. There's this book called The God Man. It's a very good book, and it's a breakdown of the Bible esoterically. And in that book, it talks about the word being the seed, being that of like the chrism, kind of. The word is like this creative force, right? So it comes from emanation through the light, right? And it is birthed into material form through the creation energy of sound in the word, right? Just interesting stuff there. As for the pyramids, like you were just saying, the pyramids of Bosnia, one of them appears to be a sound healing temple.
Yes.
And I would wager, I have a feeling actually, that the pyramids of Egypt, the pyramids of the Mayans and the Aztecs, and all these pyramids literally all over the world, a lot of them are built in the same exact astronomical alignments, right? And like similar shapes and structures. What's going on there? And especially like in Giza, the Egyptian pyramids, I'm pretty sure they might have had a couple different purposes, but it seems like there's two main ones. The first one is for initiation into the subtle energetic anatomy, an initiation into like the hidden superior self. And that was done because literally the pyramids are frequency temples inside and out. Like how light, sound, air, pressure moves through these chambers that have amazing acoustics.
Yes.
Was to create a resonance. And the Ark of the Covenant, I believe, is a esoteric mystery inside. But the Ark of the Covenant was also this chamber, this resonant box placed in the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid. And what that Ark of the Covenant did, it's basically like, if you could imagine the pyramid as this great orgone center placed on like the main chakra of Earth, in divine alignment with these astrological motions, right? And it's basically channeling that in, right, and creating this sound resonance temple. And through all like the different acoustic, all the different slots and whatnot, I'm not sure how it all works. There's probably way better videos out there describing that. Like, is all basically centralized on the initiate laying in the Ark of the Covenant. And that Ark of the Covenant hits a vibration. That's not even like a sound. It is a sound, but it's also a vibration all over it, throughout all the air, throughout all the cells in the body. And when you exist in that state of resonance, especially when it's like a pure harmonic like that, what happens is all the cells, all the being, all the anatomy on all levels shakes back into its highest nature, its original state. Like literally, if we think of disease as imbalances or disharmonies in the microcosmic body, because that's what disease is. If you ask Paracelsus or any of the ancient Hermeticists, disease is a disharmony in the body, in the microcosm compared to the macrocosm. And that disease is essentially a dis-ease, a separation from the natural state. And to return to a state of health would be to basically, like, if you entered a field of a single vibration and every part of your being started singing the same exact song, every atom of the being started resonating at the same pitch, all of a sudden your whole body would fall into perfect resonance, into perfect harmony, right? Furthermore, on the initiation side, so that's healing. Like if you go lay in one of these pyramids, that's so healing on so many levels that we couldn't even start to understand. On the initiation side of things, I think it activated the Kundalini in a sense. It was an aid, because we can do all the breath work and sunbathing and like occult, esoteric kind of like breathing and practices and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it helps to have a vibrational temple built at that resonance, at that song of Kundalini, where you can actually tap into that perception of the fields all around you, because they're all vibrating, like literally the air is vibrating. And that's kind of like my understanding of the ancient pyramids. For initiation, I think that's what they were used for, was like, initiation of divinities walking on earth, as well as
there are legends that Jesus was initiated in the Great Pyramid.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Definitely. There's a book called The Seven Initiations of Christ, I believe. Talks
about
that. Yeah. I personally think Christ was initiated by like yogic mysteries and tantric schools, Egyptian mystery schools, and like Zoroastrian mystery schools. I think he because in the 17 years of the missing, Jesus,
right, his life.
He was going. I think he was like the highest pupil, the highest initiate of all these schools, and like I think the hierophants, or the masters and the teachers of these schools, understood there was a great prophecy being like revealed at this time, and that Jesus, or Jesus of Nazareth, was a vehicle of it, and I think they took him in, and like, yeah, I do believe that about Christ, that he was like the highest initiate, and he essentially attained to the perfected form. And that's what Hermetics is all about, is creating the immortal body, basically.
So we are called to do that, right? You, me, everyone.
But we all are, yes. I would say there's different levels. I mean, who am I to say anything about it?
You're awake.
I am awake to it, and I also understand like the depths of these mysteries. Some of the greatest minds and like spiritual, metaphysical thinkers and experiencers have striven for the mastery of the mysteries, and like the highest levels of initiation. But even the greats fail at it, like
I know, right?
The Buddha, he was a glowing one. Krishna was a glowing one. Like Quetzalcoatl, all the messiahs of ancient Judaism. We got like Odin, Osiris, Heru. They were glowing ones. They were fully activated like divinities on earth. And in Gnosticism, it kind of talks about like this life we're here to serve out our highest purpose, which is to fully serve out our karma. And karma in the sense of like not some consequences of your past life necessarily, but karma being that which is like your purpose destined here on earth. Not everyone's chosen to be initiated into the mystery school. Like you have to exemplify high like moral character and high intellect. So not everyone's gifted with that capacity in this lifetime. It's not. And if everyone was born at once and all of them were striving to be, at the highest levels of initiation, well, shit, Earth would be out of balance,
Not only that, we wouldn't need this school.
Vibration up and down, Yeah, I just don't think it's for everyone in their path in this lifetime. But also I've seen and read other things that, no matter where you are, if like you can like diligently like serve out your karma, you can either prepare yourself for like ascension in the next life, or you can go from 0 to 100 in this life. But some people are born in here with a lot of debt per se.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe that too.
Yeah.
Or not, I don't think karma is a negative thing. There's a lot of fear. There are people that I know that have a lot of fear, and fear engenders darkness and lack of light.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not ready. Um,
Exactly. Exactly.
I heard a quote recently. There's no worse tragedy than we're all born in the dark, but there's no worse tragedy than someone
Falling
being
into dark.
afraid of the dark, right? Basically being born in the light, but afraid of the dark. They see the light,
Yeah,
So,
totally. Well, like that's kind of what I was hitting on is it seems to me that some people are born or come in with like higher virtues of soul that are like instilled in the being. And Lao Tzu talks about this in the Ha Hua King, which is like the hidden text of the Tao Te Ching. And it's like the hidden teaching, the esoteric teaching of Taoism. And in that it talks about like those who walk the path of the integral way, will like come into the next life, maybe in a family or like in a situation internally where like virtue clings to them already, where they're prepared to like make their final ascent.
okay.
But also on top of that, fear is like the number one thing holding you back, the number one thing holding people back in general. I've been writing a lot about this lately, and fear is a tough one to philosophize about because it's really like unseen and also very mysterious in the being because it holds so much power, so much obscure power.
Right.
But fear, essentially, if we look at it physically, when we get scared, our body contracts, our muscles get tight, right? All of our glands start like hyperactivity, stress
Right.
hormones are released, contraction occurs. When there's fear in the mind, unseen contraction occurs in the sense of like if we fear leaving home, then we'll never think or imagine lives or opportunities or ways of being outside of our current location because we have this fear of ever leaving this place. So therefore we literally like close the gates to all the opportunity, to all the awakening, right? We close the gates and leave them shut, and we don't even know that we closed the gates because we fear something. So fear is like this process of actually finding it, facing it with faith, and faith creates openness. When we have fear of the darkness, it's because we don't know our light. We don't have faith in the greater light beyond,
Yes.
Faith is openness, fear is contraction. And when we're contracted, then the divine light can't pour into us. There's no chance of internal or external ascension if we're in fear, because we can't receive anymore. We are blocking ourselves off from all that is.
So the light is always there.
Yes.
Always coming at us at the same intensity, same degree, for lack of a better word.
Say coming at us. The light literally lives inside of you. Okay. God is within, and he wants to emit outward. He's actually, God's sealed in the 7 seals. He's sealed in there. His light. Man is a fire burning eternal, right? But the thing is we got to release the fire or the divine light from bondage in the flesh. And that doesn't mean to sacrifice the flesh.
Right.
It means to transmute the physical density or, the prima materia of the soul and the body into its higher nature, into its higher form, that being gold, where that light can actually pour through. Because the goal of the light isn't just to return back to its original state in the heavens per se. It's to manifest here on earth and be seen, But in order to do that, the earth must assist it. Does that make sense? So the light is always there. It's not coming at us. It's actually trapped inside of us. right? Like we have a God we have a star in a jar. We have a star in a jar, and it's hidden in the
That's a
heart.
great
It's actually,
metaphor. I
yeah,
love it.
it appears to be this void space, but it's like the most, the most essential light there is. And our entire process here on Earth is to become aware of that light and to ascend that light through the spheres of creation, right? And until it's like, yeah, ascend it and descend it. It goes up and down, kind of like if you ever seen the Pingala and Ida, like
Mm-mm.
the ascension of the chrism and the descension of it as the sushuma opens. So that looks kind of like, how could I better explain that? The Merkabah. The Merkabah
Okay.
has an upward tetrahedron, or
Yes.
and a downward one. And as they
Okay.
come together, as the light both ascends and descends simultaneously, as the below is birthed into the above, and the above is birthed into the below, then God emanates outward. The seals are unlocked,
That
and
is so
and the true toroidal field is born, right? And that's like the solar state of man.
solar. Okay. So, whoa.
That's a
You're,
lot. That's a
you're
lot.
blowing my mind tonight, but in a good way. You've explained